Hello, welcome to another Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher, and today I'm going to bring to you the Tangle Bumpkenz by Beth Snoderly. This is a fun tangle. It can be done a couple ways, and I'm going to do my best to show you both. All right, this one starts off as a grid tangle. And I think what I'm going to do for ease of you seeing it is I'm going to just draw a 4 square here on my little bijou tile. Knowing that this can spread out to however big of a grid that you want to spread it out to. All right. So this one, again, starts out with a grid. And then, you know how a lot of times, we will divide the grid, diagonally. This one, we're going to do that, but going box by box. And, okay, so being strategic here. So I'm going to start with the first box on the left with a diagonal going from the upper left to the lower right. However, which way you start it is up to you. I'm doing it strategically, and you'll see why in a minute. But then, so instead of doing every box the same, and then a lot of times we crisscross, this one we're going to do each box in the opposite direction. So this went from upper left to lower right. The next one is going to go from lower left to the upper right. And then after that, actually, you could just, this is a 4 square, you could just, I could have just drawn a big X, but then that wouldn't have explained that it needs to be in alternate direction like this in each square. So if you're doing something bigger, you just continue the alternation. All right, hope that makes sense to you. Now, this one can be done in 2 ways, as I mentioned. I'm going to draw the first way that Beth has on her step outs, which is more of, I want to say like a heart shape. So one is a heart shape with a pointed bottom. The other is has a more rounded bottom. So we'll do the first one first because that's pretty much on her step out. That's how she does it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to point to all of my hearts. The top of them are going to be towards the center. And I'm going to start a little ways back here. And basically, this is just drawing a curved line. And if you've ever done an Zeppel, it's kind of similar to that, except that we're coming down a ways. Okay, how do I want to draw this other side here? And then mirroring it in the other section, right? Actually, I'm thinking, I could just do this video. Maybe I'll do a second one. I don't know. I'm just trying to think what would be for ease and to keep in style with the quickies. So I'll let you know by the time we're done with this, because by then the other part of my brain will have decided. So, all right. So continuing this all the way around. And so the reason for the alternating center lines is that it draws everything towards the middle, because we're drawing this, a half and a half versus, just draw a heart in a box. With Zentangle, the idea is that we are, we take apart patterns and put them together in certain steps. So that way, and the steps that align with the 5 elemental strokes. So keeping in line with that, this is a curved line. It has a little bit more of a curve, and then comes out and we kind of hug the sides a little bit. As I mentioned, there's a tangle called Zeppel, and I do have a video on that one as well, a quickie, and where we kind of hug the sides as a bubble would. But this one, we're coming down to a point into the point here. So I always like to also speak in terms of the 5 elemental strokes, so that way we stay consistent with with this methodology versus it's how to draw a fill in the blank, and that's different. All right, so the next step on this one is auraing. And if you are new to Zentangle, aura is kind of like drawing, like outlining. This one though, so we're going to start at this point right here where we have started. And this is where I find it myself a little bit tricky, because what I want to do is I want to do like a proper, a full aura. So I would be, aura-ing this point also. So I would come down here and draw a heart. So we'd have like nested hearts, but that's not how this tangle goes. So we're starting from this point and we're going, we're out and we're aura-ing, but we're going down to this point here. So it's going to get narrower as we get to this end. And then similarly up here, it's going to be a little bit narrower at the top. And then coming from that same point and going down to the same point. And so we're not really getting that heart feature. And just, you fill it in as many times as you can and or want to. That one got a little bit weird there at the end. And then we're going to do this the other side. And just focusing on, from this point, we're going around and we're separating it with, if you can, see, and I've already kind of stepped it up. But that, you know what, if that happens, that's okay. All right, let's try it again. See, on this one now I get 4 tries to feel like I'm explaining it right, or to do it right, actually. Again, starting at the one point, and then coming down to the same point. So this point, pulling it away a little bit so that way we have this separation. And if you can get that separation consistent, that's one of those things that we all aim for. But again, so the same point, coming up and around, and then aiming for that other point. And actually, I think I'm going to turn it this way. Sometimes it's easier to see when we're aura-ing, when you can actually see, versus the hand being in the way. So coming from that same point and coming down to that one point. Oh, that one's a lot better. Okay, let's see if we can do it again. So point towards the top, coming down to the bottom. And this is where, the whole idea of going slow, just take your time. And, if this is the first time you've tried this tangle, try it. And if you need to come back and watch again, because just like anything we learn, okay, maybe this is a little bit better this way. Sometimes we miss something to begin with and need to go back and listen again. How many times did this? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I did enough times in the middle. So far, this one's winning. All right. But again, yeah, come back and listen. If this one gives you, a little bit of a headache, that's okay. I'm going to start calling them my arch nemesis tangles, because, we all have some that it's just like, just not getting it, or not happy with it, just, where, something is awkward. There we go. That one turned out pretty good too. Okay. So again, the key is coming from one point, and then, getting to the aura point. So you're keeping that distance, and then coming down to the same point all the way in the corner. It helps for the effect. And then if you can imagine this spread out, into a larger grid, it really looks cool. Now she tops this one off. So at the top of the heart, just kind of like with another curved line, going from this, this main intersection, or maybe it's better to think of from the heart top to that intersection, and then, kind of doing both sides. And it's the same idea. In this one, I can usually fit like a couple, but same idea. We're just, working both sides. Again, I'm not sure why this step. I was reading a little bit. Tanglepatterns.com is really a super great resource for tangles, and there's always, usually she has a story. This one she didn't really explain. She explained that it came from some wallpaper, but that was about it. So I wasn't sure, the name, etc. So there we have at least the main part of Bumpkenz, and this took the majority of her Stepout. Now, let me follow up this with a little bit of shading, and shading / coloring in. So some of the things I saw were neat. You could, if you want to, you could color these backgrounds in. That also kind of erases that line a little bit. I'm going to do that here. I'm just going to use the pen that I have so we can show you. So she didn't really go into shading in the Stepout, but some of the examples that she had showed some shading, and it was really pretty much just kind of going down the center. And finish this one up. it would be kind of cool to do both ends. But I know in one of the examples she just had they said, oh, and let me show you here. So I wasn't really so this curve kind of went out a little bit more than the other ones, and as I mentioned, we have these things called course correction. So I'm just gonna shave oh, look at how nice that looks. Just shave a little bit off. That is the course correction that I call filling in. It just only works in that direction. So if you went too narrow, then you did, then you just have to stick with it and, figure out maybe something else to do. But see, that kind of looks nice. You could also fill in these other sections as well. Okay, so let's see, what have I got here time-wise? Okay, I'll show you quick. So on her step out, and on the step out that is in the description, okay, same idea. I won't go into uber detail. Okay, and then we're going to start upper left to lower right, and then alternate those in the direction in the adjacent boxes. Okay, so this one, as I mentioned, has a rounded bottom. So you would start it off the same way. And so coming up here, kind of, I like to hug those sides, as I mentioned. And then you could kind of come sort of straight, maybe. So she said that, this could kind of look more like a pumpkin. So we'll do that again. And I like to come down a little ways as so that way we have room for that little top thing. So this one would be super cute if you were doing some things for, Halloween or just, autumn tangles. This variation would be really fun. So it's just, not coming down to this tip, but coming down a little bit above. And just kind of rounding it off. Maybe they could be a little bit more curvy. I don't know. A little bit more rounded. I've kind of made mine flat, thinking like a pumpkin would be for the most part on the end. But that's something that you can play with. And then same idea in coming from this point, oraing around, coming to this point. And so you're, again, same idea. Point to point, and then so it kind of starts to flatten out as you come in. And I think that, as I said, I think this is, for me, this is somewhat the hardest part because I don't want to, I want to start lower each time instead of at that same fixed point. That's just, in my mind, I have to keep telling myself from the point, going down to the bottom, down to that same point. And we'll do this one. And sometimes, yeah, and sometimes, it's almost like it can be a mantra. Point or around to the point. Point or around to the point. Whatever works, right? And then if things go awry, it's all okay at the same time. Like that one, I just kind of went, whoa, pen went the wrong direction. But that's okay. That, for me, is actually a sign it's like you're moving too fast. So stop it. All right, let me get this last one done. And, and this one, so if you were doing it for, for something hard, if you wanted to make it more like a pumpkin, and again, she still has the same thing at the top, which, so I'm picturing, doing this as an autumn tangle and doing this part in orange, like either, so two things, you could color it in orange. You could color in the stripes, in shades of orange or something, and then doing this little top part in, green, say, as if it was the stem. So super fun. And then same idea, you could, color in this, in between these, what do they call that, negative space, and just have a lot of fun with it. Shading, since we did this one, so this, I'm just going to put some shading, because this is kind of what I saw in the example, and I kind of like it, is I'm just putting some graphite here. I'm using a woodless charcoal pencil. And so let's just see. So I put that in, and I'm just going to spread it out a little bit. Try something different on the other one. And this is also, you know, the fun part of Zentangle. Let's see how that looks. Oh, see, so that's interesting. And then if I was to color in those sides, let me just do. Oh, that's blue. we don't want to add blue. I lost the cap for that one, so I keep picking it on accident. And let's just see what this looks like, because you know when we do this, when we color in these backgrounds, it really makes the pattern itself pop. Now there's some other things that you could of course do to the background, although you know, because I was thinking lines, because that was like in the Tangle Well, where that's one of the thoughts that you can do is put, you know, lines going with this, but that would be too much. That would be too busy. You could do little orbs. Ooh, let's try that. You could do little orbs. Or a little tipple, which is a great fill in, a great texture. And this tipple, a lot of times we will fill in these little gaps. But then if you end up not liking tipple, oh, watch, course correction, I don't like it. I mean, I do like it. I think that would look really neat all the way around. But I just wanted to demonstrate the course correction. So if you do something like this, always knowing that, you know what, if you don't like it, as long as, you know, it's not something going outside of, then you can just do like this and color it all in. And it's all beautiful. But you see how neat that looks popping those. I won't bother to do the others too. You can imagine what that will look like. Now, another thought is, could put some graphite kind of on the outside of these. I'm going to leave that. Oh, no, I won't leave the center one alone. But just on the outsides. Oh, and then I just thought too, well, you know what? Let me just do these two this way. Kind of put that in there kind of sloppy, but that's okay, because when we use the tortillon, we're just smudging it around and it fills in. So then you could bring this in just as, you know, as far as you want. The objective is, of course, and actually this, I could have spread this out even a little bit more, and that might, you know, that gives a little bit different look. The objective is, though, is we want to make sure to leave, you have to leave some of the original tile color there, so that way you have contrast. Because if you don't, then it's just like, you know, coloring the whole thing in, which of course you can if you want to. But then that's not shading, that's coloring in. Oh, so that's kind of neat. Another thought is, because this is, say, instead of coloring in the outside, let's do this, where we add some graphite to the outside. So you will, you know, and actually, when I'm done, we'll kind of see if we can cover it half and half. This is just playing. I have no idea what this is going to look like, because I just thought of it now. This makes it a little tricky, because this is, because I'm working on something small, though. Well, and this would end up shading that whole thing in, which that's okay. I'm kind of going outside of my line here, which I wouldn't normally want to do. But just to give you an idea, oops, and let's put some up here, just on those two sides. So let's see. So that's kind of neat. So what's cool about that is when we, and then depending on what your entire tangle looked like, you know, for the outsides, this kind of gives it a different, it makes the whole thing glowy. And it's just, and this is just up to your taste. So there's that way, all the way around the piece. And this one was just on the outsides. And then this was just, you know, put in some graphite right up the center. And I would start light, and then you can always add, because we don't use erasers. We are, you know, it's kind of a trial and error. But sometimes if you make it, you know, a little bit more dark, then it's a little bit more dramatic as well. And that's just neat. And up to your taste. So there we have it. Bumpkenz by Beth Snoderly. A fun tangle. And I hope you enjoy. Happy, oh, before I forget, if you have comments, questions, I do my best to answer, comments in the comment section, so feel free to do that. Liking and sharing and subscribing and all that is very helpful. So if you wish to do that, it would be much appreciated. So with that, I will wish you happy tangling. Have a good one.